Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we are so excited to be talking about the 2025 short film Largo. We'll share a little bit more about Largo and why we're especially excited to talk about it today. But first, Sarah, do you want to give a short summary for the short film Largo?
Sure. A young Syrian refugee living in the UK without his parents decides to build a boat and sail home to find them.
All right. If that doesn't get you, I mean, I don't know what does. Like, do you have a heart? Do you have a soul? Come watch this movie. Okay. So let's do our one sentence summaries for Largo, and then share a little bit more about Largo itself and some exciting things coming related to Largo as well. So, Sarah, what is your one sentence summary for this short film?
My one sentence summary is always ask follow-up questions if a child asks you for some rope.
Yes. Yeah, she's just like, stay away from the water.
Right? Like, be careful.
Yeah.
Go have fun. It's like,
so funny.
Follow-up questions, please.
Yeah. My one sentence summary is your heart and your emotions will not be so Largo after watching Largo. I just say we came up with our one sentence summaries like seconds before reviewing this. So, it's just off the cuff. It's how I feel.
Hey, I'm here for it. 10 out of 10, no notes.
Thank you. So, Largo is an incredible short film. It's a story about the refugee crisis and ultimately centering on this young boy who is homesick for home and his parents and being reunited with his parents. It's a story about grief, resilience, hope, imagination, and ultimately shining a light on the very real human experiences that so many people are experiencing as a result of displacement and some of the conflicts within their home countries. This film is written and directed by Salvatore Scarpa, who's a Sardinian filmmaker and actor, and his co-writer director as well, Max Bergogne-Moore, who's a British filmmaker who has also worked in children's education, which I think is a really fascinating part of kind of him bringing his past experiences into this story as well. It stars an incredible young child actor. Oh my goodness. In one of his first acting projects ever, Zach El-Sokari, who plays Musa, the central protagonist of the story. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about this film and our thoughts about it, but we sat down with all three of these folks in an interview that's going to come out here in the next day or two. So these three get to really share their heart behind creating this film, some of the mission and their advocacy for awakening empathy in people that perhaps have become kind of disillusioned or disconnected from the real human experiences behind this story and the many people that experience this story in real life as well. So we were so thrilled to sit down with them. They talk about some stories from set, the making of this film, how they brought this to life, the years and years sewn into perfecting this story, and just all of the in front of the camera and behind the camera people along the way that have made the story really authentic and are bringing it to schools and other children to really kind of shine a light on this issue that has often been used in the political world to further agendas. And they're really bringing us back to the heart of it all. So that's coming out here in very, very soon. But let's dive into talking about Largo and kind of our thoughts and reflections getting to experience this story. We will not spoil Largo because we want you to experience every bit of some of the things that happen in this, especially in that third act, kind of fresh. So we'll talk at a high level about it. So I'm curious for you, Sarah, what's really like resonated or stuck out to you so much getting to watch and experience Largo, the short film?
Yeah, I think what has really stood out to me in this film is that no one in it is a villain. It would be really easy to write a story like this and have the people who are against, refugees coming into their community, have them be the villains and demonize them. And we do touch on it a little bit in the interview, but this film is so intentional to humanize everyone, and everyone has strengths, everyone has weaknesses,
Yeah.
and everyone has flaws too, and some of them are forced to confront those in the story. And so I love the tenderness of this story, and that there's so much intentionality and empathy for all of these characters, not just Musa, but even the people of this community who have maybe different views than I would have or that you would have. But the film still has empathy for them, still makes space for them and their
Mm.
full humanity. And I thought that that was a really beautiful and important part of this film.
Yes, absolutely. Every character actually has a pretty full narrative arc, even though they might be on screen for only seconds at a time. But every character, even some of the younger characters in the story, also have a full arc, and it's not leaning heavily into melodrama, which I'm really impressed by this film. It's restraint of melodrama, and while still allowing some of those moments of heart changes or realizations happen and have space to unfold. And even if it's for a few moments at a time, they still mean so much and carry a lot of weight, even though they aren't necessarily the central part of the story, because there isn't enough time to showcase all of that. You feel that so much has happened, and heart transformations are occurring right before our very eyes, in small ways that are really reflective of the way that they often happen in real life too. um, I think the thing that I'm so thrilled, excited, inspired by Largo is just how much every part of the heart and mission of this film has seeped into how this film was made, how this film was funded, how this film was created, the people that they brought onto this team to be a part of creating this film, and then their distribution and how they're trying to create exposure for this film in schools. So I was so impressed to learn how many people from Arab descent were a part of the set and creating the stories and the production and the crew, to refine things like accents that Zach has in the film to be authentic to the people that they're representing, and also creating opportunity for people that are refugees, that are displaced creatives through their apprenticeship program, be part of the crew and be on set and have their film dreams have an opportunity to come to life, in a really meaningful way in a country that is not their home country. But they're able to explore and really have this launch pad, to build their resume portfolios and get to be a part of this project. So that's all incredible for how the film was made. But this team has also been so intentional to put these films into schools and have children experience and relate to the stories here. They've built a whole program around the refugee weeks in schools and having this be seen as a conversation starter with young kids. It's being shown in Parliament to hopefully be able to impact and shape policy by bringing together the experts in this area that are boots on the ground and serving in these places, really be able to dialogue together with policymakers and see how this can change policy. So I think I'm just so inspired by the way that something that we've always been captivated by is film is not just entertainment. It's not just meant to be in a place that we go and experience something and then leave and go back to our normal lives. It actually shapes the world around us. It shapes people's hearts and minds, and it shapes policy. It shapes people's dreams. And I think Largo is such an incredible example of it doing that in almost every realm of how this film was created, written, brought to life, and then being shared with the world. And that has been incredibly inspiring to me, to see the way that Max and Salvatore and all of the producers and creators and crew behind this team is bringing the story to life and sharing it with the world with such intentionality and with such clarity and vision and purpose. I've been just absolutely smitten and captivated by that with Largo.
It's so incredible to see, and it's such a reflection of something that we talk about all the time. Like movies aren't just
Yeah.
entertainment, and stories are so powerful, and it's easy to discount that power, but it's great when you see, a film like this, when you see creators like this who really understand that and are putting that to use, and kind of deploying it in the world. And in the interview, which you'll hear in a couple of days, they even talk about some of the reception that they've gotten, especially
Mm,
in schools too, for kids that maybe weren't aware of this issue. So I think this film, in addition to being a great short film, like technically it's so well made, it's such a
yeah.
compelling story, it's, you can just be immersed in it immediately. So like from a technical perspective, from a writing perspective, it's great. But
Mm,
it's also so cool to see this really engaging work of art then being, kind of sent out into the world, and seeing how it's actually affecting people, and changing people's hearts and minds, because this is a very real subject. This is a very important subject that many people are dealing with. And so I love that this film is being used to really highlight that, and humanize refugees when they're not always humanized in the media that a lot of
mhm.
people consume. So I think this is such an important film, in addition to being a really good film too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, and I think, you'll hear Salvatore and Max share about this a little bit more too, but just the intentionality of the way they've written this story to be so focused on the child's perspective is pivotal for allowing us to really empathize, because we've all been a kid at some point in our lives, and we know what it's like to be separated from those that we love, even for a short period of time. Zach shares a little anecdote about how he connects with Musa's character emotionally, that you'll get to hear in the interview as well. But that universal feeling and emotion everyone can connect to in some way, but then realizing that that is the emotion of those that maybe we've never taken the time to understand, or that are being demonized in these public narratives is essential. And so to tell the story fully from Musa's perspective is a genius screenwriting move, I think, but also an incredible way to allow us to kind of shed all of the like adult narratives and all of the implications of the things that we hear in the news and the media. Like it all kind of falls away when you just see this kid longing to be reunited with his family. And how could your heart not be drawn into and sucked into and softened for something like that? And like you mentioned, the rest of the characters that are antagonizing forces at the beginning of the film are not painted to be villainized or to be the foe. They are being fed a narrative that they're believing out of fear and anxiety and trying to protect the things that they hold dear. And I think that is a huge part of this film's allowing everyone to come in and relate to not even just Musa's character, but actually even the people in the seaside village as well, and some of the very real anxieties that they're experiencing that then are maybe causing them to create harm for others.
The other piece that I loved about it is, Musa's foster mom, Grace, is also going through a lot too. And she is
Yeah.
also not perfect. She's not a perfect mom. In the opening scene, she even yells at Musa. And
Yeah.
but what I loved about that is, she yells at him, scolds him because he was getting into something that he shouldn't have been doing. And then in that next moment, we see her sitting down and taking a breath. And in that breath, you just feel like the weight of the world on her shoulders too. And throughout the
Hmm.
film, you see her making a number of mistakes. She's trying her best, but she's also failing at times. And so I loved that. I loved that she is not, this perfect foster mom who is just nailing everything. She is also
Yeah.
having a hard time, and she's also trying to figure out her place in this. And she cares for Musa, but how does she best care for this child who comes from a completely different experience than her? Like, how is she doing that while she's also dealing with all of her stuff going on in her life? So
Yeah.
I loved the complexity of these characters, and how this is a short film, And in these little moments, it'll be like when she sits down to take a breath, or she's looking at something, we can learn so much about her and what is going on with her. And I love
Mm.
the efficiency of this film, that in those little moments we are able to learn so much about who these people are, and they really do feel like three-dimensional people, not just characters that we're meeting on the screen.
Yes, yeah. I love how efficiently, like you mentioned, we get to experience the people that are in Musa's orbit. One of the characters that I absolutely love is kind of a, I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll try to talk cryptically about it, but he is an unlikely companion that is revealed in an exciting revelatory moment that can really connect with Musa in a really special way. I think this character is so captivating, but it also left me wanting more too, which I think is genius for the film to do. I'm like, there's a whole story to this character and how he arrived in this place and became a member of this seaside village. And he quickly brings a little bit of home to Musa in a really special way. But the film doesn't linger too long there and continues to move the story along. But the feeling of, gosh, there's a whole life lived, a whole set of feelings and emotions and desires and dreams that this character has, I think is so present. And the film's restraint to not give us too much, I think, is part of its genius. It leaves us questioning and wondering and asking, gosh, what has this character experienced? And how does he immediately relate to Moose's character? I think that this scene also offers a really great window into the racism and the microaggressions that I would say, honestly, some of the things that he shares that have been done to him, and kind of like the giving of a new identity is not even a microaggression. It's just kind of straight up just terrible. But it's also showcasing kind of the toxicity and the nature of this very, like, maybe disconnected village, seaside village, from the rest of the world, and the mentalities of the people that are there. So I think that was a really great way to highlight kind of the discomfort of the place that these people are in. But also, it's this moment of respite. This moment is like a breath of fresh air, honestly, when those two are able to connect. And then Moose is a man on a mission, and he goes on his merry way after that. But gosh, I had so many questions about that character's story that we might never know. But the presence of his lived experiences are so felt.
Oh, absolutely. It does feel like a breath of fresh air in that scene. And I think that that is one of the things that this film does really well,
Mm,
is it's so well paced. And so
yeah,
you'll encounter, a moment like that. It's a very short conversation,
yeah.
but it is so meaningful for Musa, and then for us who are watching, him go on this journey. And he really does go on a journey throughout
He
this
does.
film. And it's so restrained in the way that it will tee you up for this emotion and then move on to the next one. Or
Mm,
we have all of these different encounters that he's having with different people, and no one is ever lingered on for too long, but we always just move seamlessly on to the next one, so that we're able to encounter a these little vignettes and these little glimpses into Musa's life here in this community that help us better understand why he is taking this step to build a boat to go sail away to find his parents. Um, we can
mm.
cognitively understand why this little kid would want to do that, but this film is so intentional in showing us all of the little reasons why he's like, no, this is my next best step, let's go do that. So you feel for the kid after living in his shoes for a few days.
Yeah, it becomes the middle section of this film is really interesting because it changes in tone. The score quickens. You feel the, like, momentum and conviction of Musa, like, I'm gonna do this. And so we're kind of swept up into that. But as a viewer, we also feel this tension with, but I know this is not going to work. You know what I mean? And that the tragedy, the grief of that is also constantly looming as we're honestly swept up into this like imaginative, whimsical adventure story with Musa, while still knowing ultimately where this story will lead. And I think that having to wrestle with that tension and having to sit with, gosh, he really believes this. And we know, we almost are able to relate to Grace's character in a way of like, gosh, the realities of the state of the world feel so ever present as well. But my gosh, it feels good to indulge in this desire, this deep heart desire of Musa that is being made manifest by this boat building process. And he is determined. He is a determined little
Yes.
boy.
Yes. And I love that you mentioned the score because the score,
Oh,
especially in that section when he's like compiling all of his tools and everything he needs for his adventure, the score feels like you're watching a character setting out on an epic journey across to find a new land. Like that's very much what the score
yeah.
is doing. It's so effective in getting us like swept up into Musa's mind and, what he's doing because he is like you said, he is determined. He is going on this adventure and the score perfectly matches that. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah. It was really neat to learn after the film about the way that they use more traditional Arab instruments to be part of the score and to bring this to life. And that constant, the score is so powerful because it also is this like feeling and presence and reminder of his home country. We can feel the homesickness, obviously, like sonically and melodically, but also the use of some of those traditional instruments and almost calling Musa back to his home and his culture and his family is a part of that dissonance that we're feeling. Like we're hearing that score, but we're in the seaside, cliffside village in the UK, and that dissonance is what Musa's experiencing is these pulls in many directions and the dissonance of that he has to sit in as well. So that was really powerful to the visual and the auditory mismatch and the way that is this calling of home for him.
And it's just absolutely beautiful
Gosh,
too.
it is, yeah, stunning, haunting,
Yes.
tender, all at
hmm
once. Yeah.
Yeah, the score is so good. It's so effective. It adds so much to this film. It's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
hmm Any other big things that we wanted to mention about Largo before, honestly, we wrap up us yapping about it and just send you
Yeah.
off into the next episode to listen to the full interview? Any other last thoughts about Largo?
Yeah, I think just very quickly, the other thing that I think is really important is this film also highlights Musa's interaction with some of the kids in this community too. And I thought that that was really important as well. And we see, the microaggressions. We see sometimes just flat out aggression from these kids. And so I love that it's a holistic view of this community, and we don't just see Mufasa
Mm,
or we don't just see Musa interacting with the adults, but seeing how his peers are also responding to him too, and then of course going like, okay, where did they learn those things? So I think that the piece that you talked about earlier about this film of them showing it in schools is
mm,
makes that even more powerful because there are other children in this too as well.
mm.
So I think that that's a really valuable and important connection point for this film.
Yeah, and you see the way that the children really do just parrot the things that they've probably seen their parents, their grandparents say, because children don't know any better. But the film is so hopeful in believing in humanity's desire to connect and to empathize, because those same kids later are like, "Yo, he's building a boat. That sounds cool," and all of those differences, while they still might be there, they kind of fade away for a moment as they just play together and they want to help him go on his journey and they help push him off into the sea. And so I think that is really neat too, to see the way that like children are often the most innocent because they don't they're not filtering their interactions with everybody through those differences and through the things that they hear. This like human to human, kid to kid connection is, it can trump so much, and that we're all just kids anyway. We're all just humans anyway. And Largo's thesis really feels like, come and be a human first, and see the humanity in others, and those that might be othered. They're maybe not that different than you would expect. It was fascinating to hear both Salvatore and Max share about how this is such a specific story to an issue that's very prominent in the UK. And so they were kind of wondering to see how this would resonate outside of their home country. And gosh, being in the US, I think the problems and challenges of uh, political parties, the news media outlets, the media demonizing other people groups and othering them is just as prominent. And I think it's kind of universal in probably many countries. And this film is an invitation to all of us to see the people and the stories and their lived experiences beyond the things that we've heard about them in advance. And I think it's a powerful story. The mission that they had to reawaken empathy, my gosh, you just can't help but feel that when you watch this film. And like I mentioned earlier, the intentionality they have in every aspect of how this film was made and brought to be shared is incredibly beautiful. So we are huge fans of Largo. We really resonate and are so inspired by the mission of this film and bringing this story to life through film as an art form to really shape and change and inspire the world and the people that are part of the fabric of society. So we are huge fans of this. We are excited for you all to hear more from Max, Salvatore, and Zach very soon. So stay tuned for that interview coming up in the next day or two. In the meantime, thank you for listening to our review and discussion of Largo. Our name, Movies and Us, sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories. So everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review if you've seen Largo in your local film festivals, or if you're intrigued and want to help support this film, let us know and we'll figure out how to connect you, especially if you're also in like the film review, film critic kind of podcasting space. Definitely reach out to us and we can figure out how to connect the dots to help support this film. You can connect with us, Movies and Us, on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Movies and Us Pod, or email us at moviesanduspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on Movies and Us and our other podcast, TV and Us. We'll be back very soon with that interview with Salvatore, Max, and Zach. Stay tuned, coming up real soon. We hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk again with y'all very soon.